underestimate the raw power that music can hold. If done correctly, music has the ability to transcend time. It has the power to dictate how you feel in a moment's notice. It can transport you from one place to another. It's like if your friend plays a song in the car, a song that you used to listen to religiously when you were younger, and it reminds you of when you first heard it, the memories associated with it, and how it made you feel. For me, playing guitar is an outlet for this specific feeling. To be able to embody the notes you're playing and feel the strings vibrating throughout your chest is unlike anything I've ever experienced.
When I first started in the 7th grade, I used to think the world of guitar was simple. You pick up a guitar, learn a couple chords, and boom, you already know a million songs. Being intimidated to learn the guitar solos I liked in Pink Floyd songs and other music I was into at the time, I never fully embraced what I wanted to do, so I only stuck to the easy things. This intimidation led me to lose interest in guitar, so I eventually fell off for months and years at a time. Flash forward to senior year of high school. My love for psychedelic rock was at an all-time high. I decided to pick up my half-broken electric guitar that I got for free years prior, and I started learning those 10-minute guitar solos that I admired. What I didn't know was that it slowly helped me learn how to develop my own style for improvising songs and solos. My head used to be stuck in this little world thinking that the only music you could play is music that's already been written. I never once thought of going outside this chord-cursed bubble and really just making something of my own. And that's when this world of guitar that I once knew became more of a universe. I felt so dumb when I first learned that there were scales that you could learn that basically let you play a kick-ass solo anytime you wanted, and how certain tones could evoke different emotions in not only the listener but myself as well, and how I could literally feel all the dark and heavy tones when I first figured out how to drop tune, and how I could feel all the expressions when I first learned how to bend strings and add tremolo. It was all this that further invested me into this instrument. It was like learning a whole other language that I never knew existed, almost like a vessel used to talk to someone else's soul. This realization prompted me to buy my first Strat off a friend for $40, which led me into a whole rabbit hole reading about all types of pickups and choosing the ones I wanted to upgrade. I started looking into how I could get my guitar to sound exactly like the tones I heard in some songs. I became obsessed with wanting my guitar to sound exactly like Eddie Hazel's in Maggot Brain, all the way up to my distortions to sound like the ones in Nevermind. To my surprise, I found a whole community online dedicated to recreating guitar tones. It sounded dumb to me at first because I used to think, hey, this distortion button on this amp is good enough for every single song, why would I need any other distortion? It never really occurred to me that artists don't just give out flyers that list all their gear and settings they use, and that people actually dedicate huge parts of their lives chasing down tones that they love. I finally understood the community behind this culture I never saw myself getting into. I used to wonder why some YouTubers had so many guitars to choose from, and it's because they don't all sound the same. I thought all you needed was a basic Strat to play all the genres you wanted, and everything else was just more expensive because of how good they looked. Everything just sort of fell into place perfectly as time went on. And although my approach to this instrument could be seen as wrong or dysfunctional in some eyes, for me, starting off like that was a good way to slowly build a connection that I have with it today. I don't think there's really a right or wrong way to get into this instrument. As long as that flame is there to want to create and put yourself in the shoes of the people you look up to, you don't have to worry about being right or wrong. That's the beauty in this whole thing. I started off with no structure. I was just in my room having fun with whatever I played. I started off on this really small and cheap amp. Hearing how it sounds now compared to the equipment I use today, it's just the most horrendous and just foul tone that could ever be. But the thing is, I felt just as good back then playing on my crappy equipment than how I do now with my better ones. I still felt like Kurt Cobain learning Come As You Are for the first time when I was 12 with all that fret buzz and radio static. I didn't care about accidentally hitting other strings or why that weird noise was coming from the amp. I was just a kid having fun, making music. And that's the way you should treat it. So if you're just starting out a guitar and approaching it on a really uptight and formal basis, I suggest you just loosen up at first. YouTube tutorials can help you go a really long way as long as you're consistent with them. Get a bunch of your favorite songs, learn them, and just really enjoy yourself with it. Obviously, you're not going to sound as good or be as fast as some of the songs you want to learn in the beginning, but that's kind of the point. Our brains are wired a certain way that if you do enough of anything every single day, you're going to get better at it. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't learn music theory at all or the fundamentals of music eventually, but just to treat the fun you're having as an incentive to keep going. Hearing guitar is one thing, but to actually go behind it to play, along with soloing and improvising and whatever you feel talks to your soul, is just something entirely different. Even if you don't play an instrument, at its core, music is a channel for emotional expression. And whether you play guitar for years or just getting started, don't be scared to let your emotions influence your playing and really just guide what you want to translate into sound. After all, that's